Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to be looking at a very specific, very modern kind of anxiety. You know the one. It's that feeling that just kind of bubbles right under the surface of our super connected, always-on lives. It's a fascinating and, let's be honest, pretty unsettling picture of the world we're all building together.
And this really gets to the heart of it, right? It's this one central question hanging over everything. In this AI-driven world we're in, with all the side hustles and personal brands, are we actually in control of the tools? Or have we become the raw material?
All right, so let's kick things off where so many of our own days begin, in the middle of the digital grind. You know that feeling. The day starts and immediately there's this immense pressure. You've got to perform, you got to succeed, you have to master whatever the next big thing is, because if you don't, you're going to get left behind. And this is the central conflict, isn't it? It's this massive tug of war. On one side, you have this promise, this myth of overnight success, like just use one perfect AI prompt and bam, you're a partner at 26. But then on the other side, you have the brutal reality for so many people out there, working for the promise of exposure.
So, where does all this pressure come from? Well, it's like a whole ecosystem of anxiety. You've got these endless AI boot camps all promising you'll be an expert overnight. Then there's your well-meaning family who, they just don't quite get it. And, of course, there's the social media algorithm, which is constantly whispering in your ear that if you don't post something today, you might as well not exist tomorrow. And it's a constant bombardment of questions like this one. It just feeds this relentless cycle, right? You're always comparing yourself to others. There's this constant low-grade panic, and it's always pushing you to prove your worth in a marketplace that is always changing. And of course, this pressure doesn't just stop at work. It seeps deep into our personal lives too. Think about it. Wellness, fitness, self-love, these aren't just private practices anymore. They've become public performances, right? All carefully curated for an audience, complete with hashtags and progress pics. But what's really going on behind that perfect post? Well, behind that hashtag, that public performance of self-care, is often just a really thin veil. It's covering up private struggles. And this absolutely bizarre modern idea that even your pain, your suffering, should be turned into a product, that you should monetize it. Okay, so this whole dynamic, it doesn't just stop with work and wellness. It also plays out in our search for love and connection. It's like intimacy itself has become a product that's still in its beta phase, kind of buggy and full of glitches. And the source material introduces us to characters like Diego. For him, real-world connection is just, it's so difficult, it's so filled with potential pain that he does something pretty drastic. He creates his own AI girlfriend, Alina, using prompts. He literally crafts his ideal companion from scratch because the real thing just feels way too risky. And then you get this moment of just brutal, drunken honesty where Diego asks his AI if anyone is ever going to truly love him. And her response is, well, it's chillingly honest. It makes the core issue crystal clear. The solutions might be totally artificial, but the loneliness, that is painfully real. And here you can see just how literally intimacy gets monetized. We have this online creator, Regina. A client asks her to cry while eating ice cream, and that gets packaged and sold as trauma performance. A simple request to pretend to be someone's boyfriend on the phone, that's premium male loneliness. Her most private, vulnerable moments are literally being packaged up and sold to fill the void in other people's lives. Okay, so up to this point, we've been talking about all these floating, kind of abstract anxieties. But what happens when all of that becomes a very concrete, shared, and, let's be real, a terrifying experience? Well, that's when we get to the hotel synth. So picture this. There's a massive social media outage. The whole world goes into this temporary digital silence. And in that quiet, our characters get this really cryptic invitation. It's for a secret, clandestine event that promises they can explore their absolute deepest desires, totally anonymously and with a hyper-personalized touch. I mean, who wouldn't be curious? Once inside, it's like this neon noir labyrinth. There are these intelligent mirrors that show them idealized versions of themselves. So you see Marco, but he's got this perfect HD skin, he's not tired. But And this is the key, everything has a price. You want 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep? Okay, but the hotel demands your most private, most embarrassing memes as payment. And then comes the horrifying twist. A voice suddenly echoes through the entire hotel, and it reveals the truth. This isn't a party. This isn't an escape. It's a massive, live data harvesting operation. All of their fantasies, all their vulnerabilities, it's all just raw material being used to train a brand new emotional AI. And you can see here how their deepest vulnerabilities are literally turned into products. Regina's moments of self-punishment, that data is used to train an AI to be the forgiving girlfriend. Rodrigo's deep-seated daddy issues, that becomes the training set for a fragile masculinity coach. Their actual pain is being packaged and prepared for sale. So after that completely intense, surreal climax at the hotel synth, the story brings us crashing back down to earth. We're pulled back into a quiet, almost mundane reality. And the focus shifts completely to the aftermath, to these small, quiet, human acts of just trying to survive. And there's this post-trauma ritual that just feels so deeply familiar. You know, when everything gets to be way too much, the characters go into what the source calls safe mode. They just retreat into simple, analog comforts. They go get a quiet meal at a place they know. They pay a tip that's just decent. It's like saying, I'm not rich, but I'm holding it together. And then finally, that call to a parent, which is really just a silent plea for help.
But even in this perfect little moment of analog escape, you just know the digital world is gonna intrude, and it does. During the silent car ride home, a phone pings with a notification. And what is it? It's an AI using the data it just harvested from them, suggesting a new, perfectly generated partner. It is such a stark reminder that there is no real off switch anymore.
So what's the final tally in all this? After consuming all the emotional calories of modern digital life, how many emotional abs do you have left? The answer is 0. A big fat 0. And that's the point. This isn't a story about resilience or strength. It's about profound, soul-crushing exhaustion. And that finally brings us to the title of the source material. It's not some big, dramatic cry of despair. Instead, it's this quiet but profound act of refusal. When you're faced with this overwhelming pressure to perform, to post, to monetize every single second of your existence, maybe the most powerful response you have left is to just quietly opt out, to choose nothing. But that leaves us with the big, lingering question, doesn't it? In a world that is specifically designed to keep us hooked, to keep us engaged, is choosing nothing even possible anymore?